Hello, thank you all for coming to this early screening of Sing Sing. We want to thank Film Streams for this incredible opportunity. My name is Haley Haas. I'm the co-founder and executive artistic director of Anastasis Theatre Company. Anastasis, our mission is to lift new voices in our community. We develop plays that bring diverse groups together to highlight the beauty of our differences and to reveal the common thread of our humanity. Primarily, we really focus on working with groups that are most affected by our social, economic, and justice systems. We're leaning really into our justice reform here in Nebraska because we feel like it's so important that we give the people who are most impacted by incarceration a seat at the table and a voice in the discussion around how do we change this system that's not working. And so that's who Anastasis is. And Jeremy, did you want to come up and tell us a little bit about Rise? They are an amazing partner of Anastasis Theatre. A long time, they've been around longer than us, but they've supported our work and helped us connect with community members since the beginning. So here's Jeremy.
Good evening. It's good to be in air conditioning. Who's still got no power at home? Some of you, right? I feel you. That was a powerful movie. Rise is a Nebraska nonprofit with a mission to break generational cycles of incarceration. We do pre-release programming to help people get ready to come home in 7 facilities, and then we walk that reentry out with people as they return back to the community. If your system impacted and you want to learn more about our programs, go to our website, chat with me or our staff. We have a youth and family program that supports system impacted family members. We have a business academy where we help system impacted people start small businesses. So would love to share more about the work that we do, and excited to hear the panel. So thanks for including us. We're grateful to our partner with Anastasis and also with Film Streams.
Thank you so much. And we'll both be back out at the tables if you want to stop, get more information, or just chat. We will be there. I do want to say one thing before we start the conversation. I want us all to be really thoughtful about the language we use. We have the privilege to hear directly from people impacted by incarceration. And so I want you to think about the language that you use around that. You even heard it in the movie sometimes: felon, convict, prisoner. These are all dehumanizing terms, and we really want to place humanity at the center of our language. So we prefer words like formerly incarcerated, returning citizens, residents if they're still inside. So just be mindful of that as you're asking questions. My 3 panelists, who will introduce themselves in just a moment, I will ask them a few questions, and then we're going to turn it out to you to see what questions and thoughts you have about the movie. But I want to remind you that they may not feel like answering certain questions, and that's their prerogative, and we'll just move on if that happens to happen. I am going to turn it over to the person to my right to introduce himself.
Hello. Robert Nutt.
Oh, and give a little bit about yourself.
Hello, Robert Nutt. I studied theater once I was released from the correctional facility. I studied theater and at UNO, and I have had a chance to do some work around town with the Anastasis Theatre Company and the Union for Contemporary Arts. So I'm very thankful for that, and I'm just very humbled to be here tonight. Thank you.
Am I here? I'm here. Okay. Hi, I am Demetrius Gatson. They call me Dee Dee. I am the founder and executive director of Queen's Butterfly House. It is a safe house for women and their children returning from incarceration. I am also, thank you. You're the only one clap, girl. I like you. I'm also a UNO student. I am just months away from graduating from UNO with my bachelor's in social work. Now y'all want to clap. Okay. And I am also system impacted. And I think that's it. I am also formerly a RISE reentry specialist. That's like the highlight of my thing, to tell you the truth, because RISE really brought me to the point where I'm at. I mean, I just love them dearly, especially Jeremy, wherever he is sometimes, you know.
Hello, my name is Eagle Feather, and first and foremost, I just want to take this opportunity to thank every single one of you for staying here after this beautiful movie. That's a good movie, wasn't it? It's real powerful, real impactful. But like my two peoples, I was too incarcerated. But my incarceration started at a young age. The first time I was incarcerated, I was 12 years old. I went through everything prior to that, foster homes, group homes, then graduated to mental facilities, and then to juvenile detention centers and juvenile penitentiaries. Turned 18, 5 months after being released, I ended up in a maximum security penitentiary where I would spend the next 18 and a half straight years in prison. So I am one of them people that they reached out to try to help, and for that I am extremely, extremely thankful.
And just some quick background on how we had the privilege to get to know Eagle Feather and Robert is we did a play inside Nebraska State Penitentiary, More Than a Number, that was written and performed by the guys in there. And then we brought it out to the community. And we wanted to cast it with formerly incarcerated folks alongside a couple professional actors. And it's kind of like the movie you just saw. It's one of the reasons I love this film is they used people with real lived experience. And I think it made it so much richer. And we're so lucky as a community to have people who take the time and share their experience with us so that we as a community can know better about what's going on in our state and help change things for the better. So my first question for my panel. So what strikes you most about the film? Was there one moment or scene that stood out to you? And you guys can answer in any order you like.
I'll take it. So, you guys recall the scene after Divine Jihad fucked up. And the guy comes out and he's speaking with him. And he tells him, you know, when I was younger, I was artistic. He talks about that little story. The reason why that scene resonates with me so much is because before all the adult decisions that had to be made in life, when I was still a young child, I had a guitar. I found a guitar one day. I don't know how I found a guitar, but I had a guitar. And I used to play that guitar all the time. I used to walk around with it. I just loved it. And then one day I just didn't have it any longer. And I don't know what happened to that guitar. And I was a big fan of acting back then too. And I went to an acting school. I grew up in Denver, Colorado. There was an ad in the newspaper that said, if you want to act, you should come to this address. And, you know, there's some work, I guess, you know. So I got on the bus in Denver, in the city of Denver, by myself with these green pants on. And I went to this place to act, I guess, to audition for stuff. I wanted to be an actor. And then it came down to that it was $500 a month. And I was just like, yeah. You know, I grew up my mother was she was an alcoholic. She was a single parent. And when I told her that, it was just like, you know, everyone had a pretty good laugh. So all those things that I wanted to do, I just felt like they had just vanished into thin air. They would never come around again. So when I was incarcerated, I found that guitar again, because some volunteers were coming into the facility that I was at. And during church on Sunday, they would have a worship service. And after one of those worship services, they had laid their instruments on the wall behind us. And I walked over there just reminiscing about my own little guitar that I had when I was younger. I'm all right. And one of the guys asked me, he came up from behind me and he said, "Would you like to learn how to play that?" And I said, "Yeah, I would." And so I bought a guitar. I was working in the kitchen, so I made $1.17 a day. So in the incarceration system, that's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah, that was a lot of money. I mean, I'm being serious. It was in that environment. It was like $117 a month because we didn't have any days off. We worked 7 days a week. But I bought a guitar, and I started to remember everything I wanted to do when I was younger. And I thought about that. I said, I just wanted to play music and I wanted to act. And I said, well, maybe if I just practice all the time, then I can get out and I can go to school for music and theater. And because I made that choice, it's the reason why I sit here right now. So, yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Robert.
So there was many, many scenes that I resonated with. I'll save the best for last. So the very first one was when he took him to his little spot, and he said, "Sometimes I just sit out here and look out, and he finds peace." Well, when you look out, you see that white water tower. That's what you see when you look out your window in York, Nebraska, when you're incarcerated in York, Nebraska. So it's almost like it's like I was seeing it all over again. I wanted to cry. I was like, ooh, like, ooh, what are they showing me? But funny thing is right after I seen this movie, because I've seen it before you guys. No. I seen it before you guys, and I went home. I slept, of course, and I had a nightmare. And because of that, seeing that, and I was really scared. But that was the first scene that it just kept running through my head. That water tower, me seeing that white water tower. That's the first thing you see. And people tell you if you don't know where York, Nebraska is, if you don't know where the penitentiary is at, they will say, "Oh, just keep going through York until you see the water tower." Oh, so that was the first scene. But the scene that really resonated with me and that stuck with me is when he said, "You got any kids?" He started talking about his kids, and he said, "Yeah, I got a son. My homies took real good care of him. I got a son, only one. My friends took really good care of him. My son didn't have to put in no work, but he felt like he was a man, and he didn't need anybody taking care of him. And he began to do the things that I did. Now my son sits in prison in Browns, like I once wore Browns. I have to go visit my son in prison the way my son came to visit me. And when he calls me, on the phone, it's the same as when I used to call him. You have a call from Matthew Lathan Jr., an inmate at the Nebraska Correctional Center, or wherever he is, Nebraska State Penitentiary. So that always hits me. Sometimes our conversations are very short because when that call comes through, my soul is hit like, did you make a mistake? So I am on the path of making sure that he knows the things that I did not know. so that he knows he has one, support, that he doesn't have to do the things that whatever it was that got him there, or the things that he might have saw me do. And then 3, that he is capable of achieving anything he wants in this world. Right now, once he is released, because he is well capable, he's smart, and he's a wonderful man.
Thank you.
Well, after 18 and a half straight years in prison, as you can imagine, I related to a lot. I made a few notes, but there was a couple of things in there. And just to piggyback off of what Robert and Dee Dee said, every now and again we get small groups in there. People don't understand how fragile those groups are and how all it takes is one stupid decision from one of us convicts to ruin it for everybody. And to me, one of the things that really stuck out is when they were at the wall and when he was like, get off me, get from behind me. And Dan D came up to him and was like, brother, we all just come in here so we can be human again. That part right there dug at my heart. Why? It's because these little small programs, whether it's acting, whether it's church, or whether it's volunteers that are coming out for the outside world, they're coming in there because they see us as humans. The correctional facility itself, they see us as numbers, as monsters, as convicts, as con artists. They don't see us as humans. They don't see us as mothers, as fathers, as brothers, as sisters. They see us as someone that's trying to scam the system. So any little thing, whether it's a knife in your pocket or someone getting hit, they're going to snatch that program away. And it is so fragile. And that part of the movie really, really stuck out to me because like Dan D said, or D Dan said, we're just trying to be human. And when he was talking about the man that was trying to teach him, like, you want to play the guitar, that little spark of humanity brings so much light into a place of darkness. When Dee Dee was talking about seeing that water tower, it doesn't take much for things to come crashing down on you because all these little things, they stick with you. They don't go away. I've been free for almost 7 years, and every now and again, when I hear a radio, we didn't have radios, only the guards did, I get perked up. Or every time I hear chains dragging, I get perked up. Those things don't go away. But again, one of the things that really, really stuck out to me is, again, when D Dan said, brother, we're only here so we can be human again.
Thank you. Thank you, Eagle Feather. Some of you kind of already touched on this, but in just a shorter answer maybe, because we want to get to our audience as well. How specifically did the arts impact your journey while you were inside and then once you re-entered?
I want to start with this one.
Go for it.
So while I was in, I came to a point where I was like, okay, Dee Dee, you've been in prison 6 times in your life. Something has got to change. There was a program that came to the institution called Dance to Be Free. It was a lady, and she just said she wanted to do something different with her organization. So she came to NCCW, and we began to dance. If you think of it, we were dancing like Zumba, but with hip hop, R&B, rap, some lyrical, some country, and we were just feeling the music. Then she sat us down, taught us about the beats and how the beats go. And she said, cathartic movement helps women, men as well, to begin to release the trauma that they so suppress. And she said, so now when we dance, I want you to think about that. And I want you to release it. And as you dance and your feet begin to move, step on it, use it as a building block. I did just that. You need 12 hours of this dancing to become an instructor. When I left NCCW, I had 256 hours. And now I work a little part-time, but I work for her. I've been to 7 different institutions around the U.S., including Hawaii, dancing to be free, teaching women how to release their trauma through the art of dance. Now I'm taking it into Heartland Family Service Family Works program so that the women in treatment can also use this cathartic movement to push it forward. So the arts really helped me. I love to dance. I love music. So I just bought it out here, and now I'm giving it to other ladies.
Anything else from you two? I know Eagle Feather, you turned to writing inside, didn't you?
I did. Before I do that, Eagle Feather. Eagle Feather.
Stop.
That is so cool. I gotta learn how to do that. Okay. Again, I was at the maximum security penitentiary, 22 hours a day lockdown. Unfortunately, at my facility, we did not have programs. We didn't even have education. I was in the old Fort Madison. Now, Iowa doesn't have the death penalty. They don't. So the serial killers, apex predators, rapists, they all can be found in this one place. And they sent me there as a teenager. So you can imagine how I was being a teenager, being surrounded in this environment and just surrounded by anger, hate, frustration, people that's without hope, people that's without light. It was just, I turned to writing. That was my only means of escape. They didn't have acting. They didn't have the few churches that they did have. You can tell the people that was running it, they wasn't very good people. And unfortunately, it seems like the predators rise to the top while the rest of us who simply want to exist, who simply want to live and hopefully one day be free, we kind of fall to the wayside, which is fine with me because, I mean, at least I'm free. With that being said, I did turn to writing. Why? Because 22 hours a day locked in your cell, you have nothing but what you can imagine. And I was able to turn to that. When I was released in 2017, I had never seen a cell phone. So when someone was showing me pictures on her cell phone using their thumb, I was like, what kind of voodoo is that? Because I wasn't used to that. I was telling somebody in the lobby, when I got out of prison, they pushed the button to roll the window down. I was like, oh my God, because I'm used to cranking and all that other stuff. So getting out here was a huge culture shock. Someone had to teach me how to use a computer because when I first got my first laptop, I was talking to someone on the phone. I was like, okay, you got to move the cursor to the Xbox. So I'm looking, I'm like, where's the cursor? Where's the cursor? Because I didn't know that was that little arrow. I didn't know anything about computers. They didn't teach that. They didn't teach any of that because, like I said, most of the people there, they're there to keep society safe, which is completely understandable, but they didn't have those programs there. So again, I turned to writing, and when I first went to prison, I was a hardhead. So I spent the first 7 years in solitary confinement, which is 24-hour day lockup and set for 15 minutes 3 times a week to go to the shower and then come back. This prison was designed to keep the worst of the worst. So for our hour exercise, all they did was release a pull-up bar for an hour and then lift it up. You was locked in your cell. There's solitary confinement. You wasn't going anywhere. But my means of escape was writing, using my mind, using the power of my mind. And because of that, I have been able to become an excellent actor and liar.
He's a jokester. We must all understand he's our big jokester. But really, the talent that I have seen both inside and outside astonishes me every day, humbles me every day of my work. It's such a privilege. And I have told these two guys, they're stuck. They're stuck with me. I'll just keep giving them jobs.
I'm here. I love doing this.
I think probably it's time to turn to our audience. Does anybody have questions for our panelists?
If you just raise your hand, I'll come to you.
Oh, right behind
Right
you.
behind you.
I thought a really interesting point in the movie when they talked about being released or reintegrated into society, how the first few years can feel really amazing, and then there's this like plateau that you hit. And I thought that was really interesting, and I'd like to know maybe from a couple of you if you experienced that and maybe how you got through that.
Okay, I would love to answer this because, and I got people here. I got my mother. I got Don, My cousin, she might follow me on Facebook, so she might know a little bit about it. But I might get emotional too, because it's been a rough journey. Again, getting out after so long, I didn't know anybody. And a few that I could recognize because they've grown up. Even my nieces and nephews, their voices had grown deep over the years, and I didn't recognize their voice. I would go to old places. I used to hang out, and it looked vaguely familiar, but it wasn't home. The reason I might get emotional is because while I was trying to transition from having a convict mentality to being in a free world, realizing people are going to walk behind you. They don't have no ill intention. People are going to accidentally bump into you. That's not a shoulder check. They're not trying to check your manhood. My first year out, my first apartment burned down. I lost everything. I had worked so hard, putting in so many hours, and I lost everything. And I was homeless for a little bit. Then I finally swallowed my pride, went crawling to my mom, was like, I'm hungry. So she took me in, and I was there for like 3 days before I got another apartment. And then a year and a half after that, again, I had built myself up. I had put everything new in my apartment, got a car that had got hit by a hit and run. So I was without a vehicle. A month later, I'm at work. I'm on my way home from work, and someone video chatted me. He was like, your apartment's on fire. I'm like, bro, that's not funny. That just happened to me a year and a half ago. That's not funny. And so he showed it. Sure enough, I saw flames coming out. And the reason why it was so hard for me is because, like Charlie said, when you first get out, you have nobody except for that dog. And I had a German Shepherd named Luna, and she was always there for me. You know, it's hard for me to relate to people in the free world. It's hard for me to talk to people, to express how I feel. Luna was always there for me. She was my road dog, you know. Okay, I'm good. So, like Charlie said, everywhere I went, Luna's with me. And so I hit the gas. I'm blowing through stop signs. People cussing. I hear them. But as I'm driving home, all I could see was those flames shooting out the window, and the tears, they was burning my face. And I couldn't even see. But I had to get home. And then when I got there, there was fire trucks everywhere. And I ran. There was a fire truck and a police car in the middle of the road blocking it. I jumped a curb, went over it. I had a Tahoe, and then I jumped out, engine still on, door open. I started running. Everything, I already knew it was gone. The police, they tried to grab me. They tried to tackle me, but I'm a big guy. And I was like, my dog's in there. My dog in there, you got me. I'm good. I was like, you got to go get my dog. And they was like, the fire department, they was outside the door. They had a hose. They had everything. They was like, we're trying. You're not helping. And I'm throwing them off of me. And I seen them, and they went in, they came out 2 minutes, 3 minutes, an hour later, I don't know. And I seen one of them calling for a gas mask. And I'm off to the side. The police are still holding me. There's videos. It's out on Facebook. And I had that hope. Like, they found her at least, you know. Anyway, get back to, that's one of the parts when they was talking about having your road dog, having your dog. This was like 2 years ago, you know. And like Charlie said, that was my dog. Everywhere I went, people, they saw her, they saw me, you know.
Thank you. Now, Dee Dee, you kind of have a special understanding of the journey back because you help people with it through RISE. You help people with it today with your organization. What is something you would want to share with folks who are unfamiliar with that journey?
Well, my journey coming back, it was different this time. Like I said, I've been incarcerated 6 times, right? I made it up in my mind when my son was arrested. that I would never return to the Nebraska Department of Corrections or any correctional institution with a number, that I made it up in my mind that I was going to go back and I was going to reach my hand out to help the next person from that point on. So I began to take many mental health classes, self-help classes, and whatever resonated with me, I kept it. You know that old saying of whatever you can keep, take it, and whatever you can't use, put it up on the shelf. So I put whatever I didn't want to learn or whatever I didn't need, I put it up on the shelf. I remembered it, but I put it up on the shelf, and everything I needed, I put it in my pocket, right? So I got out and I worked for a place called the Mental Health Association. Nebraska Mental Health Association, at a place called the Hanu Home. And it's a place similar where it's a transitional home where they assist people coming out of incarceration, right? I became a peer specialist, and I learned that everybody's journey is different and that everyone needs something special. And whatever that looks like for that person, you have to they don't know how to articulate it. I'm going to tell you the truth. They don't really know what they want. One, they don't want to ask, and two, they're afraid that you're going to judge them. So you have to handle it with almost like kid gloves, right? You have to kind of coax, what is it that you may need? Do you know? How can I help you? Me being someone who's formerly incarcerated, I was able to use my experience to assist others. From that experience, I began to work for RISE. I also worked for a place called the Center for People in Need. I don't know if you guys know that. It's in Lincoln, Nebraska. I became a welding instructor, assisting people who were incarcerated to have a marketable skill so that they can find a job. While doing that, I just shared my experiences. But when I worked for RISE was when I want to say my climb to fame, because I was able to go back into the institution. And I was able to show the women and the men that it doesn't matter where you've been, and it doesn't matter what happened to you, but what happens is when you come out, we need to show ourselves first where we can climb to. So I began to make re-entry plans with them. What is it that you need? What documents do you want? What kind of job is it that you aspire to have? Where do you want to live? Do you need medication? You need to take care of yourself first before you can take care of somebody else, because guess what? They tell you that on the plane. Put your mask on before you help the next person, because guess what? We still going down. We still going down. But if you put your mask on, you can save your partner, right? So I always put my mask on and, try to ask the next person how you can support them. So if you know anyone that has been formerly incarcerated, someone that, even if they've just been to jail, if they've been to a treatment facility, a mental health facility, always ask them, how is it that I can support you? And I want to say this, before, the whole time I've done, 6 numbers, like I said, I've never had many people to say, you need to stop, you need to do this, you need to do that. But I had one person in my life that I always looked to, and that was my mother. And she would only say one thing to me: I don't know what's going on, D. I was like, I don't know either, because I didn't use drugs, I didn't drink. She said, but I'm going to tell you one thing. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And I did just that. I always leaned on him. And he bought me out. And so now I still lean on him so that he can help me to turn around, and I put my hand out, and I can help those ladies that come into the house. So that's what I would do for somebody returning.
Oh, thank you so much. Who else has a question?
Real quick, I'm sorry I didn't answer your question. I'm so sorry. Getting out of prison, it was difficult. It was hard. I'm still struggling with it, even though it's been almost 7 years. Again, I've never had a driver license, got my driver license. I've never had like a real relationship, and I had my heart broken a couple of times, lost everything, gained it back, and I'm still learning.
Yes.
Boom.
And everybody who knows you is really proud of you. All right. Yeah. Question. Oh, I see one right in the middle. The mic is coming to you.
One of the parts that really hit creatively for me was when he was like, can we just have fun? Like, can we just make it a comedy, Can we have fun with it? So I'd say for your writing, what is, I don't know, what do you like to explore? Do you find that balance between, comedic and maybe the real, or it's just kind of just how life is, funny and serious? I don't know. Sorry.
Me, my writing?
Yeah, what do you like to write, I guess?
All you got to do is look up the Arthur Eagle Feather. They're in Target, Walmart. I got a couple copies if you want one. But
Okay.
I like to explore everything. And that's one thing. My first 2 books were urban novels, where it's about drugs, gangs, because that's all I knew, gang banging and stuff like that. And then I kind of branched out for that because I didn't want to get pigeonholed. So I started writing about the Native American culture because I am Native. Then I started trying to write romance novels, and I found out I wasn't very good at it because I've never experienced romance. I never experienced real love. So, but it was all a guessing game, and I think that's what made it so beautiful and appealing, because I created what romance was in my mind, and so I was able to live it in writing. But again, if you can follow me on Facebook, James Eagle Feather, that's my full name, but I just go by Eagle Feather. All my books are under the name Eagle Feather. So again, you can find it at Barnes & Noble, iUniversity. So the one I think this crowd will enjoy will be The Lost Mayan. Again, I'm still out here grinding, still out here hustling. I got boxes of books in my Tahoe. I'll be out there like, hey, you like to read? And I'll be out there selling, grinding, trying my best to make it. That was a good question. I like that.
Thank you.
Who else has one? Oh, I see another one here in the center.
Put the popcorn down.
Never gonna let it go. Hi, I'm Alfonso. Thank you all for being here, and thanks for the movie. I guess I'm stuck on time travel.
As he was in the movie.
Yeah. Just thinking about where, if we were able to go back in time, and I mean, you all, if you wouldn't mind sharing from your own experiences, if you were able to go back in time, where was it that you felt like the system failed you, and that kind of started, the downward spiral, and what would be different?
Is anybody
turn back
comfortable
time.
tackling that? A moment where you feel like society or the system?
You know I love talking.
I don't think the system, when I say system, I don't think any part of the system failed me. And why would I say that? Because I was a spoiled brat. And once I had a child, then my family said, why would we take care of you? Well, you got this little person. We're going to take care of the little person. Duh. You're grown. You can take care of yourself. And I was like, what? You say, what? Okay. So then I said, by any means necessary, call me Malcolm X. And I started doing what I did. Where I think that I may have not learned while I was inside was the classes that was offered to me. I took them so that I could be released all 6 times, or all 5 times. The 6th time, when my son was got incarcerated, I said something has got to change. And it is true. If a person does not want to change, they're not going to. When they are tired and fed up, that is when they are going to begin to pay attention. They're going to be able to soak in some of the knowledge that is given in any course, any group. That is when a person is going to begin to change. And I did just that. One of my favorite classes, 7 Habits of a Highly Effective Person. Anybody ever took that class? And one of my favorite habits is begin with the end in mind. Because nobody who wakes up in the morning and just says, so tonight when I get home, I'm going to go to bed, I'm going to relax. No, they wake up and say, I got to do this, and this. And they've already put a lot of stress on themselves. But when you begin with the end in mind, you go through the day relaxed. My second one is seek to understand before being understood. So I seek to understand the next person so that I, too, may be understood. I'm going to understand everything that you went through. I'm going to empathize with you, and I'm going to stand in solidarity with you. However, I want you to understand where I'm coming from as well. And when you do that, I mean, you know, all is well.
Robert, we haven't heard from you in a minute.
For real though. No, I want to. You know, you said you were stuck on a time travel when you said, you know what began your downward spiral. I don't look at it like that. As strange as that may sound, I did not like being incarcerated. However, it has prepared me for things in life that I didn't see coming. In a lot of ways, it has prepared me for manhood, fatherhood, journeys of with patience involved, perseverance, endurance. It's strange how prison been impacted by that system. It is actually what you will make of it. You can be a bitter, angry person about it and go out for the rest of your life feeling sorry for yourself or trying to get back at the man or whatever. Or you could take what you felt and you could take what you learned and you can find a way to make it work for you. What happened for myself is kind of what Dee Dee mentioned. I took a look at myself one day in the mirror and I said, is this the life that you really want? Is this what you want? Do you want to do this for the rest of your life? And I'm serious. I asked myself, do you want to be in fucking prison for the rest of your life? Because if you don't change, that's exactly what's going to happen. No one else needed to change. The system didn't need to change. The judge didn't need to change. The streets didn't need to change. I needed to change. And if I did not change, then that was going to be my life. You don't know the number of men that I have seen go in and out of that place or heard about on the news who lost their lives. I sit here and I tell you that the system, yes, is broken, but it is your choice whether or not you want to be a part of that system for the rest of your life, unless you go in there and you don't, and that choice has been taken away from you. You know, the thing about being incarcerated, ironically, being inside is pretty easy, really. That's the easy part. It's coming back out into society. You know, you have these expectations. You know, I had these plans. I was like, you know what? I've learned how to play the guitar. I've read 1,000 books. Hey, you know what? I can sit and discuss books with anyone. I read A Long Walk to Freedom 3 or 4 times. You know, I read James Baldwin. I read Malcolm X. I read 100. I read enough books to finally fill this whole auditorium up with books. And I said, you know what? When I get out, things are going to be different. They're going to see that was never me in the first place. Well, I found out that's not the way that life works all the time. Even in church, where I am that is my life. I love the Lord. I believe that, you know, people should deserve second chances. I believe sometimes people make mistakes and they live with that burden. It's not one that they want to carry. They don't want to be reminded of it all the time. But, you know, that's how society is. I wish it was not like that. You know, I listened to a person. I got close with a friend at church one time after being released. And we would play basketball and stuff like this. And I won't name the church because I don't want to, I'm not here to, I don't want to criticize or I'm not trying to judge anyone. We all do things and say things that sometimes we wish we could take back. But I opened up to this person because I was never one to really discuss incarceration once I was released. I just wanted to be seen as myself, as the person who stood before you. So I opened up to this gentleman and he responded. He said, oh, you're one of those people. And for probably the next 6 or 7 years, I never talked about prison again, no matter what. I just could not bear the reality that some people was going to, they were going to see you as the past person instead of who you are today and what you have accomplished today. The hard part is trying to find a place to live. The hard part is working a job that you really feel that you're qualified for, but they won't hire you for because you are ex-felon.
That part.
The hard part is just wanting to be a part of communities, be part of gatherings, to be seen as someone that they preach about in church when they say, you know what, everyone deserves a second chance and your sins are forgiven. You want to be that person. You say, well, then why aren't mine forgiven? Why have I not been forgiven yet? And why am I still carrying this burden? I've served my time. Why won't you let me go? Why can't I move on in life? Why are you asking me on applications if I've ever been incarcerated? Why are you asking me when I want to go look for an apartment what my credit score is? And if I've been in jail in the past 7 months or 7 years, and was I just now released? How about can I just pay the bills? And do I have a job? And am I willing to do that? That's what I'm willing to do. You know, the hard part is never was being inside. It's easy. It's coming back out here. And wanting to share your story, you know, wanting to, but then looking at people like, but if I do, what's going to happen then? What's going to happen if they do a background check and they find out I have a felon, that I'm a 3-time felon? What's going to happen then? You know, that's the hard part.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's a big piece of why Anastasis exists. It's men like these two amazing gentlemen and amazing women like Dee Dee that inspired me to start this. I met people inside and was like, these are just people. All the headlines and the statistics do not tell the story. And so I feel like it's my calling to help people get to know these incredible humans and give them that second chance and not put up barriers that are unnecessary. It was such a joy to be able to meet you two and that you guys trusted in our process of using your experience to help others and hopefully bring some light into your life as well. I bet we're getting long on time. Is there one? We got what?
We can wrap it up.
Yeah. What? So I wish we could talk all night. I do, because these three have so much to share with our community. So I really encourage you, go volunteer at a correctional facility.
You can volunteer at queensbutterfly.org.
There you go. Get started there.
The women always want volunteers.
You can make a difference for folks who are inside and who are reentering just by acknowledging their humanity. The humanity we all have. That's why I love this film. That's what it shows, and that's what art does. It transforms us. It reminds us of our shared humanity. Also, looking to Rise. They've got really cool volunteer opportunities, some that are even just like online that you can do. And then I want to invite you to come see Anastasis's next play. It's the project is called Rising Voices. We haven't released the name of the play yet, but we've spent about a year talking to women impacted by incarceration, gathering their stories. Our incredible playwright, Kim Louise, is here. Yes. And so she, along with these women, is writing an incredible script, which we will produce in the spring with a mixed cast of system-impacted women alongside a couple of professional actors and tour to multiple sites. So stay on our Facebook, Instagram, our website, and we hope that you join us for that play and those discussions so we can all together make Nebraska a better state through criminal justice reform and welcoming the incredible humans returning to our communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being
Thank you
here.
for coming.
Thank you.